أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah Almighty be upon you all. We are bringing you from our MTA Gambia Studios this live broadcast of a brand new series called Why Religion? And in this topic, we'll be discussing very critical questions that we may have amongst ourselves, in the society, in our families, about the need for religion. Is there a need for religion? Does it have any importance? What role does it play in our lives? And is there a trend towards youth, especially leaving religion for different reasons that they may have? But I'm not here alone to discuss this topic. Of course, I have a group of panelists with me here today, and I'd like to introduce them starting from my immediate right. On my immediate right is a face that's not new to many in the Gambian society, Fabakari Kale, who is a youth activist, and he's a peace teacher, a peace educator here in the Gambia. Welcome to the show, Brother Fabakari.
Thank you very much.
Right is Ustaz Abdurrahman Cham, who is a missionary of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat here in the Gambia, and he's residing here in Talinding. Welcome, Ustaz Abdurrahman Cham, to the program as well. As I had said, these gentlemen here will be the ones answering the questions, and I have the easy job of asking the questions to make sure that we guide the society, we give the little knowledge that we have with regards to this topic, this very important topic of why religion. And if I could just throw this question out there, and I just ask you a very raw question, starting from my right, Brother Fabakari. Is there a need for religion in a society?
Thank you very much, Imam Diba, and let me begin by saying Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen that in my lifetime I'm able to be part of a panel within the Ahmadiyya Muslim television in the Gambia. To the question, is there a need for religion? I want to look at this question from the societal point of view. In society, when we want to solve issues, when we are trying to understand who we are and where we stand, we have a pointer, and religion has been that pointer. When man as a selfish being, I mean man as a being that want to relate with other people and be able to relate with its creator, I mean it being who created us, who has the biggest power, who does this, why are we alive, why will we die? So when we want to answer all those questions, we have a pointer, and that's religion. So in a sense, religion help us understand ourselves better, understand things and their proper use. Because everything we have, I mean, religious help us understand them and what are their proper uses, what is good for us, what is bad for us. So it guides us morally, but also guide our life to become that complete, I'm not going to say perfect, but that complete being, to be able to understand its creator and be able to do what is expected of him or her towards society and his creator.
I think that's a brilliant way of looking at it. It's a platform, and it's an unbiased platform where no one person is in control, or not one person is making the decisions. Is an independent creator, like you said, who is telling us what to do. And that brings us to the religious side of things. And Ustaz Cham, you're the expert as far as religion is concerned. What need does religion have for us from a theological perspective?
Well, when we look at as human beings, we first of all ask this question, why are we here in this world? And Allah beautifully answered that for us in the Holy Quran when He said, I have not created man and jinn, but for them to worship me. So how can we worship that Allah Almighty? Allah made that structure for us. He brought in religion, and through that He sent prophets, so that we'll be part of an organized kind of society, or part of an organized group that is religion. And Allah from time to time sends, prophets to come and preach to us, to come and teach us the ways and means of how we should worship Allah Almighty, because that is the purpose of our creation. And religion helps us make that connection with Allah Almighty, so that we know that human beings, we are not just in this world for the free, will of it, enjoy the world and just go, but we are here to worship Allah Almighty. And religion beautifully put us into that scope whereby we can worship our God, whereby we can recognize our God, and we are always guided from time to time. That's why, different times Allah will send prophets, Allah will send people who will come and guide us, to His path. And religion also help us to, because if human beings are left alone, like free, that's the difference between human beings and animals, for example. If we are left alone to do whatever we want to do, that will not be good. So religion, there's a need for religion because it will give us that guide that we can live peacefully in the society, that we can, live along with each other on side by side, and we can, at the end of the day, the most important thing is to recognize Allah Almighty, is to, fulfill the purpose of our creation, that is that worship of Allah Almighty.
I think both of you really put it in a very beautiful way, that you covered both aspects, that in as much as religion is about us and our creator or God, it also covers the social relationships we have with one another. And you being an expert in this field of peace, a peace educator in this country and even beyond, people do tend to have this allegation that religion is a cause of conflict. It has led to wars and stuff like that. Could we fairly blame religion to be the cause of wars and conflict?
No, we cannot blame religion as a cause of war. What we need to look at in this case is when people are related, they are related for a cause, for a reason. And mainly that reason is in the satisfaction of their human need, the need of identity, the need of food, clothing, or whatever. And if those needs are perceived being denied, whoever they think is denying them that would be in conflict with them. But most of the time, human will not present those needs, so they will hide behind something. And most of the time in the world today, we hide behind identity. Political issues, we hide behind our tradition, we hide behind our ethnicity, and religion has been used as one of the strongest point of identity, because religion is one element that brings people together, that brings about, break all the barriers, irrespective of race, political divide, and so. So people now use religion as a bait, and they hide behind religion and all these issues to present their human need. Because when we join a religious society or a religious body, our other identities are sort of silent. But however, our differences remain. Our difference in our values, our difference in our temperament, our difference in our interests, even in that religion differ. So in trying to achieve that and harmonize our relationship, there is conflict. So in managing that conflict, how we present it, most of the time, I'm going to say again, people use religion, but it's not actually religion itself. It is the people's lack of a better vehicle to present their conflict or their problem, and then they use religion. Understanding that when people's identity are touched, they become more emotional. Reaction. So there is religious identity which cut across all other identical issues, and it has been a very good vehicle so far in presenting their case.
Because it's one of those things that when you come into an organized religion, when you come into a faith group, we are told to leave your race behind, leave your language behind, we're all one. Most religions would preach that. So it kind of becomes easier to use it as a vehicle, the passion of the people, the emotions of the people, and drive it towards a motive that the wrong person might use it for. But we've also asked members of the society, as far as these questions are concerned, what do they think? What do they feel? What do they want us to discuss? And it would be fair to also hear from them. And we'll take 2 minutes to see what the public has to say as far as this is concerned. And we'll come right back into the studio to continue with the discussion. So enjoy that and sit back and wait for us to come back.
I think we really do need religion, because as technology is growing, as it is moving every day, people tend to be more, there are a lot of things that are associated with technological advancement that we will need religion to shape the younger generations and even the older ones who are already out there in doing a lot of things, I would say.
I would not say no, because religion plays some a significant end when it comes to regulating the life of individuals. Many people depend on it to more or less regulate their activities and way of life. But to me, I will not take that part because I believe that reason is what guides the world to this end, and we don't entirely need to depend on religion for us to do our things. And you just cited technology. The reason why technology came to be is because of reason. People inside religion, in fact, came to be because of our search to know the mystery of the world, and there is no better way for us to do so through reasoning, human intellect.
Yeah, sure. We need religion, and I believe we need religion more than any other thing because religion, in fact, it is part of our culture. It is around religion that we talk about issues that directly affect our lives. Religion has come also to teach us certain moral values that never existed in our society before. And I think religion, in fact, has, by extension, gone to promote some of the already existing ideas that were here in society that we are on that remain uncanny, that we are undiscovered, that religion came to unearthing them. And then I think we have realized that certain things should have been known way before that would have benefited our lives. And religion has definitely played an integral part in helping us discover those things.
So, dear viewers, I'm sure you enjoyed that and you heard people kind of raise some very thought-provoking points, which our panel would also like to throw some light on, shed some light on. Ustaz Cham, coming to you. So when we talk about religion, most of the times, some people argue that, well, it's a matter of faith. It's between me and God. So I can just believe in whatever I want to believe in, and I'll do it individually. Why do I need to be part of a group or a community if it's just between me and God? Is that a fair argument, or what do you say about that?
Well, what I would say about that is religion is very important. I mean, for people to be part of, an organized body or an organized group. Because, for example, if I stand on my own and say that, okay, I will do whatever I want to do, and I will follow whatever I want to follow, that in my part, I may, act in a way that will not be good for me, good for society and all that. But if we are in a religious group, it means that we are having checks, at least. We have a guideline. For example, that's why when Allah sends a prophet, He doesn't send a prophet to only one person to say, go and preach this person. Allah sends a prophet always to a group of people so that, when they are together, they can be a mirror for each other. Like that's what the Holy Prophet ﷺ said in Hadith, Muslims are mirrors, a mirror to each other. So if I am in an organized religion, for example, when I'm wrong, somebody can give me a head up and say, okay, you have done this. And that's why in Islam and other religions, beautifully, we see somebody, whether it's a priest, whether it's an imam, and ustaz, that's always standing in front of us, advising us. Because of one person cannot generate all this in his brain. One person cannot guide himself towards the right path. So it is important that we are part of religion so that we'll have that guidance always and all the time.
Even humans, from a social perspective, we are communal beings. We are not individual. They say no man is an island. It's just a common saying. So if you bring that into religion as well, it helps to organize, to bring us together. But as you said, leadership and having that sort of guidance makes us different. Mr. Kale, if this is so beautiful and important, in the Gambia, for example, or in society in general, there tends to be a sort of a trend where the younger generation, the youth, seem to be, I'm not making a factual statement, I'm saying they seem to be deviating from religion, or the core values of religion are eroding from within the youth. Do you agree with that? If yes or no, why?
This is it's a difficult question whether to give it a yes or a no. In the Gambia specifically, I'm coming home because I have not done a lot of travel, but in the Gambia we've seen an increase, in my view, in church going, an increase in mosque going. I mean, visibly we could say, okay, religion is here and we are all part of our group, we are coming this, the communal bond is coming up also. But then when we look at the religious values and make a good study of the society, I'll hate to, but I'll have to believe with you that it is eroding. So some key values, some key issues that religious stand for, let's say social cohesion, putting us together. I mean, taking cue from the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he entered Medina, the coexistence that happened, I mean, between the Muslims and the non-Muslims, that's a religious value. But now those things are eroding. Irrespective of our difference, tolerance is one key, I mean, value of religion. Exactly. And service to oneself and the nation is a key value, is a key religious value, but we can also see that also eroding. Yes, indeed, we hate to say it, but societally, we go in more to the mosques, we go into more to the churches, okay, we go in more to the shrines and all those things, but the religious value that those churches and mosques are supposed to instill in us are going down. And again, this is my perception. There had not been any research to do that, but
Right. Yeah, perception, I mean, it does count because we're such a small community in the Gambia. It's a population of less than 1 million. You can travel to the ends of the country and come back the same day. So you can kind of give a survey, of the country in a day, pretty much, just by going through the 5 daily prayers or traveling on a Sunday, just seeing the attendance in churches. So it's not very difficult to come up with a statement like this. But Cham Saab, coming again, the Gambia, we could say, is arguably a religious country. Not to say we all agree with one religion, but there's majority of Muslim and the rest are Christian or very, very small population that don't affiliate with some sort of religion. But seeing this, all of this, there seems to be a trend. Why do you think these values are going away? Do you?
Coming to that, I would say a lot of factors play a role into that, and one of the main things that we can say is even this will go deep into, like I can say from the family level to the society and the influence from outside as well. Because, in the previous days, I'm a person of today. I don't know a lot about yesterday, but we read about yesterday as well, that how people will sit down with their children, for example, and taught them the values of life, values of religion and all that. Today, technology and all that, so many things are happening now. People will not have time, to talk to their children at home, for example, about the values of religion. A father will leave home in the morning, come at night, for example. That child, whatever development he or she has, for example, sometimes he picks it from outside, from his friends, from strangers, and that will affect the way that, the religious value that he's supposed to instill in himself, he's supposed to grow it. That will definitely affect that. Then you come to now the social media and the likes, for example. People go to the internet, people go to the social media sites and see new things. Without knowing anything, they'll just pick those things, attitudes and all that. And that will affect, their religious values as well. And what is most important is the religious teachings. Religious is one thing, like Mr. Kale rightly mentioned, it's one thing to practice something and one thing to know something. For example, I can be a practicing Muslim, but I can go to the mosque, people will see me, I'm praying, and people will see me, I'm giving sadaqah, but why am I praying? What am I saying in my prayers? Those things are not known. So it is important that now, I don't want to go to the solutions about all this before, but I'm just saying that this is the cause that, youth and young men are not properly guided today.
So you say education.
Maybe just to add to that,
Right.
There are a few other reasons to it, and I'll go down there. One reason is modernization. The world has moved from where it used to be, from pre-colonization, pre-civilization. Now we see it civilization, but I think we are now moving to modernization. And this modernization comes with a lot of issues. This global, being a global village. Access to information is faster and quicker. Whether relevant or not relevant is one thing of its own. And a lot of checks in what we used to know or what we should know is no more there to check on. So things are just open on the platform. So it's now for us to pick by ourselves. And we need to navigate as people in this modern world. And we want to navigate using religion. And that makes it a bit complex because we are now trying to live the religious values or try to modernize the values to be able to live in the modern world today. But the other part also is at the state level. States have made policies, and in some of those policies had brought about reforms. I'll just focus on legal reforms, for example. We try to legalize or control issues that used to be left in the moral line. I mean, things that were morally right or wrong are now being, we're trying to, from policies, make them legally right and legally wrong. Issues about same-sex marriage was an issue of morality, and now it's becoming an issue of legality. Issues about abortion were issues of morality, and now they are becoming issues of legality. Issues of those things that in society used to be left in the hand of religious leaders, and issues of morality are now being controlled at the legal level. So we are now going closer to legal issues, and therefore the moral issues are eroding away. By the same token, religious values are being dropped for democratization and issues of that sort. So we have an issue there.
Something that one of the comments that one of the people in the public he made was, people get discouraged in religion because they feel they cannot ask questions. I mean, I tend to disagree with that. I don't know what you think. Some people do think that you can't ask questions in religion, but at least I know in Islam it encourages questioning. The Quran talks about reflecting and asking and educating yourself. So religious leaders who discourage asking, it's their lack of knowledge. But the Holy Quran and Islam encourages you to question. But of course it goes beyond what you can comprehend as far as knowledge is concerned. Then it comes to faith and instilling those values. So we do have, we in a second we'll also invite someone who would give us an insight into his thoughts, and we'll have him in the call. But as I was saying, Brother Cham, coming to you, as you mentioned, I think I love the fact that you touched on family values and how we, parents and children, used to have time with each other and instill these values in their children. And now pretty much don't seem to have. So can you throw some light, a little bit of light? I think that's needed in our society.
We look at religion as well as we are talking about this. We look at the time of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. There's a hadith, in fact, Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, for example, when you come to prayers, nowadays somebody might not teach his or her children how to pray and all that. Holy Prophet Sallallahu, when they are 7, you teach them how to pray, but admonish them and all that. When they reach 10, they are not praying. At least you kind of introduce a sign of, a kind of punishment for those children, so that they will at least worship Allah. They will, be firm on their prayers. And back in the days, I can say, when, for example, you do something wrong, your parents can beat you up a bit, put you straight on the right path. But nowadays, like Khalid kind of said, if somebody, even your child, you see someone's child on the road, you are afraid to even hit the person or tell the person or go home and do it, because you are thinking of what the parent will say, what will the state have against me. So it is very good, important that parents at home teach their children. And one most important thing is to know who your children are moving with. That is very important, because we can see from home, sometimes some parents, to be fair, will talk to the children. But the children will have friends outside. They will learn from them. And, they are going, like how people dress today. You can see a person whose, parents, the father is an imam or ustaz, but meet the person on the street, how she is dressing or he, you'll be surprised. But that is not from the house sometimes. Sometimes they will just sneak out, dress nicely, but when they go outside, they will. So that's why the parents also have a very great role to always be on the watch and always be, talking to the children, monitoring what they are doing. They go with, yeah.
We did hear from some university students, from high school students. We do have Mr. Sekou Omar Diba on the line, who is a senior lecturer at the University of the Gambia, who's also going to give us a perspective as to him being an elderly person in administration. What does he see as far as the religious values eroding from, especially the youth in our society? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Mr. Diba, are you with us? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Can you hear me, Mr. Diba?
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So the question that I had for you, or the comment that I would like to hear from you, we're discussing about religious values eroding from our youth in our society. What comments do you have to say with regards to that?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. If you can carry on
Hello?
speaking, or I'll let the technical team take care of that, and we can come back to the call. I don't think he could hear us clearly. But yes, Cham, you were making a comment. Sorry, I cut you off for a second.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was on that. I mean, the issue that parents at home really, have a greater role to play, and I think the society outside also has a bigger factor. I would say, for example, now we have so many things happening out, that will, deviate the concentration of the youth from, they're following their religious path and all that at home.
But coming to you, I know you play a big role as far as community, youth, peace is concerned. And now that we're talking about religion, we might be triggering a different button, but I'm sure we can get something out of you. And that is, if we talk about solutions, right? We talked a lot about problems. What role do you think the government, civil societies, and schools, all these institutions, how can they help to shape this into a better body for us to benefit from?
Okay, let's pick it from this angle. Values are transferred from one generation to the other through a process called socialization. And the schools and all those things are some of those instruments of socialization. So first, we as a people must recognize those values and accept that they are eroding and reposition ourselves. I know what used to happen in the past cannot be. When I was young, when we go into Dara, we sit on the floor at night with our things in our hands and so, but now that may not be available. But what did we replace it with? So again, first I take it back to the organized religion. Yes, we are in part of religious bodies, but the religious bodies have to be organized. We have to find a way of getting them when they were young. Getting them at certain ages. We have to be able to organize our women, not into antagonistic groups, but as an organized group under our umbrella as religious leaders. So religious authority first has to come into play, and then we organize our group and get back the grip that religious authorities used to have in society. And I refer it to 2 points. When a child is born, we call the religious people to give the child a name. So that is, for me, society is telling you, you have a responsibility. And when the child passes away, it's you. At whatever age is this the same religious people that comes to give the person the dignified burial, befitting and dignified burial. And along the line, when we get married, it's coming. So as religious authority, we have a responsibility to organize our system to handle all those issues and not just wait to be called and then we act. So for me, at this one point, government must also understand its relationship with religious leaders. Because if all of us, share a common value, which is religion, and then we bring the same religious values into, religious issues into politics. So when politics played a greater role, and religious leaders and religious communities are seen more into political part, they'll be part of the problem than the solution. So that we need to realize that difference. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from his life story, when we read, understands when he come to an area or when he send his missionaries, they don't rule people by the Islamic thoughts only. They also use their senses, they use the norms and the values of the people that they meet. So we also have to recognize that people are people, and we can manage them with our ways of managing and not necessarily impose our religious values on people because we are the one in authority and this is our value, because that is going to create more problem. And in resolving that, we are going to lose our values because we are going to look for a common ground and we'll train our people on that values. Again, we go back to what we call I refer to as training. Having the knowledge alone doesn't make anybody useful. You have to have training. That knowledge you have should be skills The knowledge you have should be put into skills, practice. But when we cannot practice our knowledge, or we don't have the room to practice our knowledge, when you present it sometimes, let me be a bit biased here. When you present, they said, okay, mom, he wants to show himself he's the best Muslim. Okay, fine. And that's what Islam asks me to do as a Muslim. And I'm now being told he wants to be the best Muslim by Muslims themselves. People who share the same religion with me are now criticizing my behaviors because they think it's not the right value. So I think that is lack of training. We don't understand where we're going. And I think one more part I want to pick up is the young people, the youth, have to give in the space. You know, you don't change people when they are not part of the change process. We cannot impose the changes on them. Whatever is eroding among young people today is as a result of a decision or action taken by people yesterday. So we cannot change them totally today, but at least we can bring some transformation into them so that they will be able to change the other generation coming after them. Just quoting by the saying of the second caliph of the Muslim Jamaat, where he said, no nation can be reformed without reforming its youth. So reformation is a process which must start with the youth so that we will get back those values we are losing.
What you analyze here beautifully just tells us, as far as authorities, government, or society, civil societies are concerned, it's not just about taking a responsibility and giving it to one group and saying, you take care of it. They require some training. They need to understand their responsibility and how that needs to be working with the people. And kind of, I think, Jam, I'm sure you have a comment to make as far as that is concerned. Yeah, please.
To like, because it says the schools as well. And it's very important because a child's second, place of thought, for example, apart from the house, is the school. For example, we tend to even spend most of the time with our teachers, with our peers at school than our parents sometimes. So it's important what schools teach, the children when from nursery school to primary school to the junior school to the high school. This is very important. And nowadays, we can see that in our society, especially in the Gambia, that guidance is not properly given to children. For example, like now you go to schools, they're organizing shows, for example, and what is done at these shows does not reflect what a student should be doing, for example. For example, frankly, some videos went viral here and there, and people were shocked that these things, especially those who are not living in Gambia, were shocked that these things are actually happening in the Gambia because that's not our moral value. That's not what Gambia is known for. But we should not, some things that are like our culture and stuff like that, we should not throw everything away and, adopt something new from outside. What is done outside, we should not, as a Muslim country, you mentioned, Dibasab, that Gambia is, a religious country, for example, not just a Muslim, we have other religions here as well. But as a religious country, we should value religious values as much as we can, rather than following things that will not, teach our children, good values, which will give us a fruitful nation tomorrow.
So when we talk about solutions, and I'll just come back to you briefly there, as individuals, as Mr. Lamin or Sister Fatima or whoever is watching, what can an individual or a family do to contribute as far as bringing about solutions to restoring those religious values are concerned? What is something that an individual could do?
Well, we all have a role to play, I can say. Like I mentioned, like I should not feel that when I see Fabakar Kale, for example, doing something, I cannot correct Fabakar Kale that, oh, what you are doing is religious or it's not right, or Mr. Kale, I saw your children doing this and that day. We all have the role to play that we should be talking to each other. It's my responsibility to make sure that my neighbor's children are going on the right path. It's my responsibility to make sure that my children are trained well. Not that, okay, sometimes you fear that, oh, if I go to Mr. Kale, for example, oh, Kale, I saw your daughter going somewhere, Kale will be angry. And, I should not feel that. I should talk to Mr. Kale and say, this is what I've seen, this is what I think you should do. And in the other side also, the person who is told about something that is best for him should not react in a negative way, but at least accept that if you appreciate it, even you are going to investigate it, you try and do that. And at our homes, in societies, anywhere we are, we should be like good ambassadors. I love using that word. Like you should be a good ambassador of yourself, of your society. That way we can, bring about that big changes in our society and move forward. Yeah.
It takes a village to raise a child, and yes.
Maybe for me, I'll first say to the individual, First, we need to promote diversity as individuals and accept diversity. We need to accept that we are different. We need to accept that we are different. Yeah.
Difference doesn't always mean good or bad. That's beautiful as well. There's unity in diversity, yeah?
I remember recently there was this campaign, the Gambia is my tribe, and I was talking to a few people. I said, no, the Gambia is not my tribe. I belong to a tribe because the Holy Quran says is divided. Allah says in the Holy Quran we are divided into tribes and sub-tribes so that we know each other. So the Gambia is not my tribe. Let me accept that this is my tribe and accept that this is this man's tribe, and then that promote that differences that we are from different tribes, the reason of which being that we know and relate to each other. So for me, that's the first point. And the second point for me is let us learn religion and not only how to worship. Because most of us only focus on how to worship, how to pray, how to do this. But religion is beyond prayers. And again, I'll be a bit biased, I've said, because I know more about being Muslim. And Islam, we are told, is a way of life. So it's not only about your 5 daily prayers, it's a way of life. So it provides you a complete code of conduct. So let us learn those code of conduct and practice them, and not only focus on prayers. A colleague of mine told me today, why worry about Friday prayers when after prayers we don't mind? Let's just do our job. And we just chat over it as I was leaving the office. But it's not about prayers only, but there's another part. So we ask people to do that. I think the other part I want to pick up is when we realize the differences, and then we learn religion and not only prayers, then we mentor. Because the elements of socialization is such that the English I'm speaking today, I'm taught. If you speak Mandinka, I understand very well. And I understand Mandinka culture because somebody taught me, somebody mentored me, somebody coached me in that language. And let us do that to the younger generation. Let's mentor, let's coach, let's teach. Those who know, let them teach the others. And even if they are elders, nobody is above, seeking knowledge. And every day there are new ones coming. So let's accept what is seemingly new to us, but it may not necessarily be new. It may be coming to us at first hand that time.
In repetition, you have an opportunity to keep on learning as well. But just for the sake of time, I'll come back to you, Ustaz Cham. Talking about solutions, Islam gives us solutions. As Muslims, we say Islam gives us solutions to everything. And we're here talking about youth and religion. And there's this notion, it's not something that's written on the walls as obvious as possible, but people do tend to kind of think that religion or Islam is for the old. You go to the churches, you go to the mosque, you're likely to see more gray hair than young people. It's just a fact, right? Well, I may not say it's just a fact, it's common knowledge. So is that something that is promoted in Islam, that the old people should go and pray, the young people be busy with their business, or is it?
Comment that I will say that is a wrong perception of Islamic teachings or the teaching of religion per se, because I will start with the Holy Quran. I love this part of the Holy Quran, that is Surah Luqman of the Holy Quran. Has a, Prophet Luqman, when he admonished his child to worship Allah Almighty, his son, and do good, and he taught him the values of life. That is, if religion is just for the elderly, there's no need for Allah to quote this, or for the Quran to quote this beautiful paragraph or verses in the Holy Quran about, teaching one's son the values of life, how to worship Allah, how to behave with, each other, and how to behave in the society as well. So when we come to a hadith of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which was reported by Hazrat Abu Huraira, and this hadith is found in Bukhari and Muslim as well. The hadith says that on the day of judgment, 7 people will be under the shade of Allah Almighty when there is no other shade. And one of those mentioned there is a young man who worships Allah Almighty and spends his time in the mosque, for example. So it beautifully, highlighted that it's not just for the old. And when we come to the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, the second Khalif of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, may Allah have mercy upon him, and beautifully structured the Jamaat into, groups. For example, the elderly, Ansarullah, the youth, that's called Khudamul Ahmadiyya. This directly deals with all the youth from age 15 to 40, because this is the prime of your youth. So, youth are taught, how to worship Allah Almighty, how to live together, how to, at least how to maintain that religious values in them. It is beautifully organized. Mr. Kale beautifully mentioned that we have to be in an organized group, for example. And rightly so. That's why, the fourth Khalifa, the second Khalifa rather, he beautifully saw this. He envisioned it. And today, we are all part of that. As an Ahmadi youth, you are part of that group. And, through that, we are organizing our ijtimas every year, whereby we go 3 days, we spend, purely for the sake of Allah Almighty, talking about Allah, praying and all that. And apart from that, during the year, we have different activities, maybe every week, every month, at least always reminding the youth that you have a responsibility, that you are not just in the world to enjoy it, but, it gives us way, a life to recognize our God. And I believe if others also do this, not necessarily belonging in the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat and all that, but others outside can do this, organize youth camps, in a better way. Because one thing I want to mention there, Adiba Saab, sorry, is when we organize youth camps, maybe, some people may not agree with me, but in the Jamaat, we don't organize youth camps where boys and girls go together and mingle and all that. If I talk about Khudamul Ahmadiyya, it's only the male wing, youth wing of the Jamaat. We go somewhere, we do our things. The female, they belong to the Lajna. They organize their way, their things also, and they are all taught the same values. And there was only one aim, that is to recognize our Creator.
So education is an ongoing process,
Exactly.
and you get to refresh your mind, you get to interact, and it goes beyond. I think you can also highlight some of those activities where it's not only coming together and praying. There's social services. There's so many different activities, and the conversation is getting more and more interesting here. It's getting tensed up here in the studio. I would love to go on and on and on, but we know this is just to give you a taste of some of the programs that will be coming to you from MTA Gambia. This is Why Religion. It's a series. This is the first program, and we'll continue to come to you with more critical questions, with more discussions. We'll go out into the streets, get the thoughts of the public. We'll get callers in, get questions. We just want to change the narrative and really bring education to the society, to the masses. But that is all that we have for you from here, from our MTA Gambia Studios. We'll see you again with more interesting programs. For now, it's Why Religion that we have for you. And I'm your host, Abdullah Diba. Until we see you again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May the peace and blessings of Allah Almighty be upon you all.